Hello and welcome to SFDC sessions for the week of April 26th, 2021. My name is Elisa Carroll and I'm editor-in-chief of Henry Magazine. You can find us online at henrymag.com. And today we could not be more delighted to welcome Allison Barry, the president of KBAA Art Advisory here at the San Francisco Design Center. So KBAA is a 25-year-old consultancy that works with designers and architects locally and globally to curate installations for residential, commercial, and hospitality projects. Now, Allison was just named president this year, and as she oversees offices in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, and in Las Vegas, she is poised to lead this firm into the next generation, into many new directions. So welcome, Allison, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a treat to be here.
It's such a treat to talk to you because I feel as though sometimes the awareness of art at the Design Center isn't as present as, of course, a furniture collection. So it's really great to shine a light on that.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
of course, such a nice compliment. And so it seems a perfect fit, but sometimes art does, in fact, stand on its own. So it's great to be able to sort of shine the spotlight on art today.
Yes, for both of us. I know we're very excited to do that. So for those who haven't had a chance to work with KBAA, would you mind introducing the practice?
Absolutely. So KBAA, or Kevin Barry Art Advisory, we are actually started as a family business. So my father is Kevin, myself, Allison, and my brother John Henry have been involved in the practice for a number of years. For myself, it's been about 17 years. And we are an art consultancy, and we work primarily with interior designers and architects, as well as sort of the general public, curating artwork for people's homes, for hotels, for corporate spaces, for hospitality spaces, for healthcare spaces, and multifamily spaces. So essentially, if you have an art need, we can help you solve it.
Exactly. And would you mind diving in a little more into how you actually work with interior designers? So you have a comprehensive process that encompasses consultation to concept to installation. Would you take us through that process?
Absolutely. So we work with interior designers essentially from conception to completion. And so interior designers will reach out to us and sort of come to us with a particular project. For instance, if it's a residential project or let's just say a hospitality or a corporate project, and they'll kind of lay out what they're looking for. And that can be simply an inspiration from a piece of fabric, a mood board, a conversation, really just this dialogue of building the narrative around the art program. And what does the art program feel like or want to feel like for the end user, whether that's in someone's home, as I mentioned, in a hotel or a corporate setting. And so then from there, we really go about curating a variety of ideas and sort of putting together artists that we feel that would be the best fit for this particular project.
And expanding on that, how can art reflect the narrative or the story of the client and the homeowner? For example, how do you build installations that might reflect their history or their passion for social justice or a particular movement?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I think, well, art is so subjective and it's so personal. And so working with clients, I mean, obviously, working with interior designers and architects is essential. Working with the end user is also essential to really understand at the heart of it what is the story that they're trying to tell through the visuals that are, through the artwork that's showing up in their space on their walls. And so as I mentioned, art is so subjective, right? So there's people that are really drawn towards abstract pieces. There's people that are drawn towards figurative pieces. It's funny when you do residential work, it's, traditionally, if there's sort of a couple or a pair and, going back and forth between what one person likes as opposed to what another likes, it's such a delicate dance and an interesting dialogue because you can have one person with a totally different direction. So how do you get them to kind of land on a piece that they both fall in love with? And that's the joy of what we get to do. It's really exciting. It's a puzzle, and the joy that it brings to the individual or sort of the group, the collective, the family. when things are finally installed, it's great. It's great to be a part of.
And one of the aspects of your work that I love so much is that your key value, or one of your key values, is that art is not an afterthought. It is inherent to the environment. It's intrinsic to be considered from the very beginning. So, how would you recommend designers begin to incorporate art or artists into the narrative from the outset?
I mean, really start the dialogue early. And I mean, there's so many opportunities, it's go through magazines and be inspired by something and tear out a page and share that with us, or talk to us about kind of what experiences in your life in terms of interaction with art have really sort of brought you to life. Have you, experienced something at the Musée d'Orsay, or have you at the MoMA, or, places you've been and art that you've seen and how it sort of touches you. And that can really start to build on, what that's going to look like for you personally. I know that, those experiences for me have made such a difference in terms of what I select for myself personally.
And that's why it's so valuable to have you available, because you've got such an eye on the market that you can bring all of these opportunities and possibilities to the fore.
Absolutely. One of the really great things, in addition to having 3 showrooms, before COVID, we had a really great offering with some of our key clients in a variety of different verticals, where we would actually take them down to Miami for Art Basel. And that's a great opportunity and a great way to expose individuals to sort of up and coming artists, emerging artists, blue chip artists, and just frankly, run the gamut in terms of what's out there and be exposed to art that makes you smile, that makes your heart sing, that makes you a little bit shocked and surprised. But again, it's just a great sort of entree into what's out there and what is possible. Which, it's so fun to go and visit an art show like that and just be inspired by what's really happening and be at the forefront of it all.
And you managed to pair that with your work with local artists as well, which is so wonderful. You have launched the KBAA San Francisco office. You've lived here as well. You're now based in LA. But I love your support of local artists, and I wondered if you wouldn't mind introducing us to a couple that you currently are working with.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. The list is so long, and it's hard to sort of pick just a few, but there's a couple of Bay Area artists that we absolutely adore and love working with. The first would be an artist called Lisa Koken, and she uses a variety of materials and actually repurposes them. So materials including books, book pages, book spines, buttons, text, and then sort of threads to really intricately sort of piece together these absolutely beautiful and detailed installations. So Lisa Koken is fantastic. There's another artist called Stevie Mitchner, also Bay Area based. She works a lot in concrete, which is really interesting, and photography, and sort of the mixture of the two. And so really these very bold pieces that are sort of solid, if you will, but have such beautiful movement to them and really cause the viewer to take a second or a third look. There's also an artist called Lola who's based in the Bay Area, and Lola works in manipulating tinted epoxy resin. So essentially bringing to life these beautiful shapes with vibrant colors, really sort of popping off the wall. And I think that each one of these artists and a variety of many others are just so talented and bring such a variety and such a breadth to sort of the art experience and things that we're able to showcase in our gallery in San Francisco at the Design Center.
And it's so cool, isn't it, too, to be able to explore these conceptual artists, or artists that are working with industrial materials that have such a heritage in California, with Fluxus, or other movements that came out of the 60s and 70s.
It's wonderful. I mean, the materiality, where the pieces end up, and sort of how the owners of these particular homes or properties fall in love with them and fall in love with the story behind them. I think that's a really fun part of what we do.
Absolutely. And I wondered if we could walk through one of your recent spectacular projects, which is the Napa, the Four Seasons residences in Napa. And you were a consultant on that project. So would you mind us taking us through the program for that?
Sure. So we were lucky enough to be involved in, are lucky enough to be involved in the Four Seasons Napa Valley. So essentially, it's a project that's based in Calistoga, but the title, the official title is Four Seasons Napa Valley. And while there are residences, there primarily it is a hotel space. So we're doing all of the artwork for the public space as well as the guest rooms. And so partnering with HBA, an interior design firm in San Francisco, to work with them on bringing to life this incredible art program, and really focused on between, 80 to 90% of the artists involved in this project are local, which is really exciting. Really a celebration of sort of the people and the land and sort of the cultivation, all of the things that come together to provide patrons an amazing experience in wine country, whether it's sort of fantastic wines or fantastic foods or experiences, and kind of where that comes from, where that stems from is absolutely, it's been a joy to be a part of the, I love how the Four Seasons has really pushed the envelope in terms of this art collection. It's like nothing that you've ever seen before. And we're really, really excited for it to be officially open and to go and visit, and have a drink poolside. That sounds pretty nice to me.
Oh, that sounds so divine right now, doesn't it?
It
Uh,
does indeed.
we're a couple of vaccination away.
I
Um,
know. Yes.
One of the questions I wanted to, or one of the topics I wanted to touch on with you is that, as now a female-led firm, a female-led art business, which is really wonderful. We need many, many more. How do you champion women-led businesses and artists in the art industry?
Well, I think through a variety of channels, but most importantly is social media, right? And our website. So we really celebrate artisans. I mean, we're committed to sort of celebrating female artists. If you visit the KBAA blog, you can learn a lot about the really talented female artists that we're working with currently. There's one in particular, Reagan Corbett, and you can kind of watch her video on our blog page about sort of her inspiration with kind of vintage Americana and sort of just her paintings and how they have this kind of playful way to them, but also this really kind of harkening back to sort of the America of yesteryear, if you will.
Right, right. And may I ask you too, that's a really great point because everything's become virtual this year in the museum world, in the gallery world. How have you been adapting? And I would imagine you're going to be integrating both of those things once you can open the galleries again.
It has been amazing. I'm sure for every single person in this world during the sort of COVID experience, it has been amazing to see what is truly possible that you never considered was possible. And so obviously the remote work experience in the art world, it has been a challenge. And I guess in some ways there's a lot of silver linings. We've figured out sort of different ways to do business. Doing a lot of things virtually, connecting with clients virtually, whether it's doing happy hours virtually or just looking at plans or sort of experiencing people's spaces with on FaceTime and working with clients in that way, or meeting, for instance, outside, just different ways of doing business. Also being involved with projects where artists, we've actually been able to connect artists more to clients, I think, than we ever have before, because of the fact that everybody's available via technology. So I've been doing lots of Zooming with artists and clients. I have been having artists create videos of their process, even sort of oh my gosh, the word is escaping me. Time-lapse videos, having artists do these time-lapse videos of sort of their process and what's happening with them in the studio. That's been a really, really neat experience, and something I know we're going to take with us once we get out of COVID. But it's, just silver linings. I keep looking for them.
And may I ask you too, for emerging designers who may not have worked with an art advisory before, what would you recommend as a first step? What should they be prepared with when they reach out to you?
I think if you're an interior designer or you're an architect or you are looking to refresh your home, I think just reaching out and kind of sharing what you're thinking about, perhaps what your scope is. Are you thinking about a single piece? Are you going to need a series to build a collection? Are there parameters Are you looking for sort of female artists? Are you looking for artists of color? Is there a story that you're wanting to tell? Giving us as much information as you can, and then really being open to the collaborative process. We can really start running with things once we have that information. And anything else, like, are there colors that you absolutely love or perhaps don't like? Are there types of artwork or styles of artwork that you really are drawn to? And even if you can't articulate that in showing us pictures or giving us examples, I think that those are really good starting points for us.
And tell me if you agree, it's such a rewarding experience to work with an art advisor because you are like a portal to the whole world of art. And whether you are introducing clients who haven't collected before to art historical movements or particularly important artists, or exposing them to art fairs, it can be such an enriching, meaningful process.
I think, when you really think about it, right? I think that sort of an art consultancy and art consultants and galleries can be scary, right? To sort of the experienced or non-savvy individual with a tie to interior design or architecture or a background in art history, right? So how do I guess my message is we're approachable. I mean, we're here to help, and it's a fun experience, and it's not scary, and it's not, as soon as you pick up the phone or walk through the door, it's not going to be millions and millions of dollars. I mean, it's affordable, it's a fun experience. It really opens your eyes to a variety of different options and artists and experiences that you haven't had before. And I think that's really fun. I mean, if you look back in your own life and you think about times or places or experiences that weren't approachable, and then once you kind of jumped in and you explored it, you're like, wow, this relates to me too. And so I think that that's the message that we'd like to sort of portray today with regards to anybody that's looking for artwork or to learn more or to experience a variety of different artists. Please give us a call or send us an email. We'd love to help you, and we'd love to work with you.
Because you are really there to be a translator, to be a guide. And again, I think no matter what one's exposure has been to art, working with an advisor is really the beginning of like a lifelong passion for learning about and experiencing that dimension. So thank you. Yeah.
It's so fun. I mean, when for me doing this for a while now, it's to have those repeat clients, right? For them to call you again and say, I'm ready to redo my home again. I'm ready to redo my space, or I've loved this piece, but I need to reframe it, or I need to kind of change up the space. What can we do? How can we repurpose these fantastic family photographs? How can we create a gallery wall with some existing art that I have, and how can we kind of fill in? Or what would we complement with this sculptural installation in my home that you have in your gallery? And the nice thing for us is, we have 3 showrooms. So San Francisco, Santa Monica at Bergamont Station, as well as Las Vegas. And so we have access to a number of different art pieces. And so it really does enable us to provide a really great curated experience. And it doesn't matter where you're based. You don't have to be based in any of those locations. We do so much digitally, even more so now. The Zoom meetings are great for us to connect with people that we perhaps haven't met in person yet. So doing business in a new and different way has really opened up a lot of doors for us. And so it's really exciting.
Well, thank you so much amidst all you have going on, reopening the galleries, for taking the time to be with us today. We so appreciate your expertise.
Thank you so much for your time. It was really nice to visit with you, and I look forward to having a glass of wine in person one of these days real soon.
Yes. And for those who are watching, it's kevinbarry.com.
Yes, it's
Okay.
kevinbarry.com. Kevin Barry Art Advisory, and you can find us at Kevin Barry is BARRY.com.
And congratulations on your new role as president.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thanks for leading us on. All right, take good care. We'll see you soon, I hope.
Thank you very much. You too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.